Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chilluminati podcast, episode 172. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mike Martin, joined by the Sklar brothers of LA,
Hey.
Jesse and Alex.
Whoa, okay.
Oh, deep cut, right?
Sklar brothers. What are you, Randy, or are you Jason? Is the question.
Me? It doesn't matter. I'll be real. It doesn't matter at all.
I'm trying to dig deep, but maybe these aren't like as deep as I assume they are. Just because I don't know who they are, maybe doesn't mean that you don't know who they are.
The real deep lore is where the fuck, what is the rubric by which you are choosing these fucking duos?
I'm telling you, I think he literally just looked up famous duos and has just been going through the list
I can't
ever
give
since.
away the secret of the. I can't be giving away the secret of the sauce. Man.
This is from a Wikipedia page. I'm sure if we cared enough, we could look it up and just follow along with you.
I will firmly say, if anybody tries to find the list I'm using, you'll fail because there is no list that I'm using. I'm just saying. I'm also saying, guys, we have a live show coming up in 3 weeks.
Okay.
October 25th. I know it's a Tuesday, but it's like Halloween week, so just take it off anyway. Just you got sick.
More like booze day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's spooky.
Hell
like it's
yeah.
Halloween. That's the day you want to come out.
What if we sweeten the deal? Let's say it's Tuesday, and you're like in LA. What if we said what if we all hung out for a little bit at Grand Central? We got tacos, Taco Tuesday. We're just putting it out there. We're giving you ways to come be goofy on a Tuesday.
Bang.
So you're saying before the show, we'll do a little fan meet and greet, hang out, eat some food, drink.
I'm putting the possibilities there
For anybody to come. Anybody.
Yeah.
Nobody. You don't need a ticket for that.
But if you have a ticket,
You get extra.
I'll smooch you a little bit.
You know what else though? Also, beyond that could be good. Is I saw this on Reddit. Is you guys should make sure when you come out to see us at Grand Central, we're sitting out on the patio enjoying our Taco Tuesday. Hold your fangs out and make sure they get as much sunlight onto them as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Your plastic vampire fangs, because if you don't, then Alex's big smile won't be the blinding light show that I want it to be 1 minute into our show when I bring it up and come out on stage. You know what I'm saying? Hashtag Alex's big smile. Find him on Amazon. Find him at Target. Find him at Party City. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. I'll see you guys there.
Actually, you can just go to the Halloween store thing that opens up. Spirit Halloween. It'll be open.
There you go. There. Exactly.
It will. It literally will be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super excited, man. I love doing these live shows, and a little Taco Tuesday will be a lot of fun.
Plus, there's other things besides tacos there. It is truly a beautiful little spot in the city. Plus, it's pretty close to where the show is. So,
And the show's going to be great. I promise you won't regret, especially that first half. It's going to be so good.
Especially the first half.
the second half, you'll be half asleep anyway, so don't even stress it. It's Tuesday. You got work in the morning.
The second half is all. I'm gonna make the second half weird as I possibly can.
What?
Hey man, I found an alien who got buried with Christian rites in Texas from the 1800s. All right, we will find something. LA is full of weird shit.
You can just bring someone in from outside and they'll have it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Especially if we were near where we were last time. That was not the greatest zone.
You mean the place where Jesse's car got robbed while we were performing?
What? Crazy. Yeah. You know what was nice about that? It was it was a thoughtful robbing. They didn't take anything that they were like, we don't need that. All they took were clothes I was going to give to Goodwill and my sunglasses, which I'm upset about the sunglasses. They were prescription, but everything else I'm totally fine with. And then they closed the car back up. The only reason I recognized it was broken into is because papers were on the floor. They didn't put the papers away. Crazy.
Really strange.
Fucking hilarious. And it makes for a good story, but that night, frustrating. Certainly frustrating.
Very
What else is frustrating is my handoff to Alex for the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what? Check it out. If you go to that website, patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod, not only do you get to listen to this show more, because, that's literally the main way that we continue to do this is through support on Patreon.
Patreon is the lifeblood of the show, everybody. Yeah. You have no idea how much it means to us.
Yeah. But also, as you support on Patreon, you can watch us grow with you and add things to our show, like an entire new show called Rotten Popcorn, which is about movies that Mathis probably hasn't seen before, and some that the way that the movies that we've been watching are weird goes beyond anything that I could have ever imagined already. And we've only done what, like 6?
I'm excited for the next one. I've been waiting to watch this damn movie for the last month, and I'm very excited. Yeah,
it's gonna be lit.
Yeah, Jesse's got. This is your third choice, Jesse. Your third pick. You did Pay the Ghost. We did Pay the Ghost.
That was a good one.
Then we did the alien documentary that was like too good.
That was Alex. That wasn't me.
That was me. The one where the one that made you guys cry.
This is my second one. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was Jesse's.
No, I would never be like,
oh, okay.
Let's watch the alien documentary that I've never heard of before. That really.
But then we did do the Ghost Hunters OG.
That was also Alex.
That was great though. That was hilarious.
Well, the next one's a good documentary, supposedly. So I'm excited.
It'll be exclusive on Patreon. All Rotten Popcorns are exclusive on Patreon for 6 months. So if you jump on, you're going to get like 5 right out the gate.
Plus, every time you listen to one of these episodes and it's new, you know that also hanging out on our Patreon is a brand new minisode that you can go listen to. Not to mention, you get pre-sale tickets. You get pre-sale merch. You get art. Like, everything that we do is so dope, and the portal to get you there is patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod. And I like it.
And frankly, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And without it, we wouldn't be paying Dean. So thank you, Dean says.
Yeah, we got a whole team over here.
We got a whole little team. We got a little team going on.
Shout out, Dean.
Oh, last thing. If you loved our Mothman plushie and you want more, you have to go over to the Chilluminati page on the Yeti and put a notify me thing. It's the only way Yeti said they told me that they'll make more is if there's basically enough of a demand for a third wave. So if you are one of the people tweeting at us like, I missed it, go sign up. That's the only way. So it'll hopefully get us a third wave of those suckers because they're fucking adorable.
I want my Mothman plush.
You know what? It was a good attempt.
I lost steam halfway.
You could have gone with I want Chilluminati.
That would have worked a lot better. Yeah.
You could have done the whole thing. I was ready.
Between the two of us, rock solid idea. If we could have had this planned out.
Today, everybody is a treat. People really enjoy these. They come so rarely, so infrequently.
Always so uncomplicated.
Like a shooting star across the sky that's actually a UFO. Which we'll be talking about that fucking government shit in the minisode, by the way. I'm losing my mind about that crap. But this is a Jesse episode, everybody.
How obsessed you are.
Because it's still on their server. They didn't delete it off the website. It's just still saved.
That just sounds like lazy bureaucracy to me, but like...
But like, what was the point? Why 2 days of it? Why upload an unfinished one and then a day later switch it to a finished one and then 2 days later remove it entirely?
Fantastic question.
We'll talk about the government agency that used a old-timey 1950s UFO on its logo later.
Oh, God. Okay. Anyway, it's a Jesse episode, everybody. It's a Jesse episode.
Buckle up.
Gentlemen. This is a story, and I guess listeners, but I'm looking at you right now, so I'm going to say gentlemen. But ladies, gentlemen, boils and ghouls, as we approach the start of October and a month-long Halloween fun time.
The launch of Hocus Pocus 2 on Disney+. I
can't wait.
I wanted to bring up a story today that immediately, you listening at home, the two of you are going to be like, oh, I know where this is going. But I promise you, you have no idea. This is a story that I've been sitting on for... almost 4 years at this point.
What?
It has been, I know. This is a story that I've had in my back pocket that I've just been kind of like, one day I want to do something with. And this podcast just sort of happened. And as I've discovered recently, I probably have mass super ADHD. And so this has just been in my folders of like saved things I wanted to look at one day. And the other day I was going through and I found it again and I become obsessed with it. And so I was like, I need to do this episode. And so I want to bring to you the story of the elf Fausto.
The elf Fausto?
The elf Fausto, or the Faust.
The elf Faust.
Yeah, that's it.
El Fausto. This is a story that I originally picked up from Reddit and ran with it. Huge thank you to Hello Lurker here on Reddit, because this is a story that is vastly, almost all the source documents everything is in Spanish, not English. So to have a person out there who already compiled everything in like it's English for you, baby way. You're my hero. Shout out to you.
Honestly,
this is incredible.
That was when I did the Alien Jizz episode a while ago. Like, it was all in Spanish. That puts you in that's a slow-mo climb, so kudos to them.
And what's great about it is it gives us access to a story, in this case of the El Fausto, that I guarantee not many people are looking up or know about. And this is one where I absolutely have tried to search things online. There is very little about it. Again, because I think most of it's in Spanish, and, you know, Google or whatever I'm using to search for stuff isn't like, give Johnny English over here the Spanish websites.
Johnny English.
So,
Mr. Bean?
Well, not Jesse English. His cousin, his American cousin, Jesse English.
Thank you to ButcherBox for sponsoring this episode. And with ButcherBox, what you're getting is premium deals on premium cuts of high quality meat and seafood that's just way easier than ever for you to get your hands on. You get to choose from a carefully curated selection of 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more, all delivered directly to your doorstep. It's just that simple. And ButcherBox has a special offer for all of our listeners right now. Right now, ButcherBox is offering new members 2 free New York strips and 8 ounces of cold cracked lobster in your first box, plus an extra $10 off. That's cold cracked lobster meat from ButcherBox, which is wild caught by independent harvesters in the North Atlantic and then pressure extracted from the claws and knuckles. So you get the most delicious and succulent lobster that you've ever tasted. And you might be saying, hey Mike, what are the benefits of ButcherBox? And there's just too many to list, but I'll give you a couple. First, it gives you peace of mind. ButcherBox just simply takes the guesswork out of finding high quality meat and seafood that you can trust, all humanely raised with no antibiotics and or added hormones. The big thing for lazy people like me is it's also the ultimate convenience. You get exactly what you ordered delivered right to your doorstep with free shipping for the continental US and no surprise fees. And you can choose from a variety of box plan options or just customize and curate your own personal box. ButcherBox is offering our listeners free New York strips and lobster, plus 10% off on your first box, in case you forgot that I said that already. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/chill to get those 2 10-ounce New York strip steaks and 8 ounce of lobster claw and knuckle meat free on that first order and $10 off your first box. That's butcherbox.com/chill.
Today, we're going to travel to La Palma Island, which is the westernmost island, well, one of them, of the Canary Islands off the coast of Morocco and to the west of Western Sahara in Africa.
Literally,
feel free to look it up.
A place I would love to be right now.
Right?
The Canary
Yeah.
Islands? Give me a break.
Feel free to look it up on your phone or computer if you got one nearby. It's like beautiful and rocky shores, and like it's just
It looks like
small
a
enough
fucking
to be
JRPG over there. Like it's nonsense.
That's a great way to explain it.
It looks like
It's-
PS5 graphics. Like it's fucked up over there.
Yeah, it's it's truly beautiful. And
What a way to describe reality in the terms of something that's just not quite able to do it yet.
It's so colorful. It's so shiny. It doesn't look real. That's what I'll say. It looks like a PS5.
it's got PS5 graphics. Yeah.
Fucking good ass graphics, bro.
And being a good ass graphics island in the middle of the Atlantic, it relies on boats to do almost everything it does. All shapes and sizes. It keeps the industry going. It's how things work. And
The
so we're going
mayor
to talk
is
about
a boat. Just kidding.
what.
I said the mayor is a boat. It's a
Right.
it's a terrible bit. Don't even worry about it.
And so today we're going to talk about one such boat, the El Fausto, the Faust. It's a 14-meter, 20-ton vessel used for shipping and fishing, but not like huge things. We're talking about like hauling fruit or veggies.
14
or
meters is like the Millennium Falcon of boats. You know what I mean? We're not talking about a huge boat.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually have a photo of it for you right here. So you can see
perfect.
exactly what it looks like. So you don't have to rely on my description.
Yep, that's a boat.
Yep.
Okay,
It is
so
straight
When
up-
you think small sailing boat, that's kind of the image that most people will probably conjure in their head.
If you think of the phrase toot toot and you're in relation to a boat, this is what you're going to think of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it It definitely fits like a bunch of guys, but it's not huge in any sort of sense of the word. And it is just like they go out and they fish. And it's got a motor, and potentially maybe you could put a sail up there, but no, there's no sail. And so this ship was one of many in the area at the time operating, doing its thing. And in 1968, the ship was owned by Rafael Acosta, who had it crewed by basically family and friends. So on the crew of the ship was Ramon and Alberto Hernandez, and then their cousins Miguel and I can't get this name right ever. Viterbo Acosta.
I love that.
And yeah, it's a great name. And here's the thing, just to set this all up, they're all in their 40s. They're all experienced sailors. They all have families. They all are total like sea badasses.
This is not a one-time family vacation to the lake. This is daily routine type stuff is what you're saying.
Absolutely. These guys are professional sailors. They know what they're doing. So on July 20th, 1968, during the early evening hours, the El Fausto's in port, and they're going to head to El Hierro Island, which is like 50 miles or 80 kilometers south, like directly south. And they're going to carry some explosives, which I always thought was weird. They're going to carry explosives there to be used for agricultural purposes on the island. I assume they're blowing up mountains or rocks or whatever. And
what year was it again?
What now? It's 1968.
68. Okay. So that's bold. Bombs for agriculture.
Yeah. They were going to just blow up some stuff. And at the moment, only 3 of the crew could attend because Viterbo was going to be part of like a local festival for some reason. I guess he was very important in that like role of help facilitating the festival. I guess he was like one of the organizers. He was like, sorry guys, I can't make it. But the 3 of them were like, dude, easy. This isn't even like a hard trip. So the 3 that are remaining, Ramon, Alberto, and Miguel, they jump in the boat. They head south, carrying the explosives. And several hours later, the El Fausto arrives at Frontera, which is a town in the northern part of El Hierro. And there they drop off the explosives. They load in roughly 20 pounds of fruit. And just because I thought it's super fascinating, here's a photo of those 3 men so you can even like see what they look like.
Yep, those are 3 sailors in suits.
This is like, it almost looks like a movie photoshopping somebody into like an old picture. How like totally generic these guys look.
Speaking of PS5 game, it does look like a photo you'd find in a PS5 game.
Deadass,
like
LA
these
Noir.
weird characters.
Yeah. To investigate, use the stick to turn it over.
Yeah.
Says something vaguely scary on the back, like she will know the secrets.
Well, I can't wait. So, while all this is going on, there's a man on the island named Julio Garcia. And Julio missed the last boat back to La Palma. Apparently, there is a ferry that travels between the islands, and he received a call from his wife earlier that day that his daughter was ill, and he wanted to get back as soon as possible to see her. And sadly, he missed the last boat off, and he was told it's going to be 2 days before the next boat arrives.
God.
And so, unwilling to even wait, he runs down to the dock, sees a boat come in, and he's like, guys, please let me on your boat. I need to get back to La Palma to see my kid. And the 3 men that you just saw were like, dude, it's chill. Come aboard. We're not going to charge you a damn thing for the trip. Don't worry about fuel or whatever. It's totally fine. And this is a photo of that man. This is Julio.
Who's this baby?
One of his kids. I think he has a daughter and a son, I think.
The baby looks sus of everything.
The baby
is
looks
super
like
sus.
He's going to be the king one day. That baby's ready. Guy looks very generic. Guy's wearing linens. He looks like he's wearing like sailor-y clothes, like oceany side clothes.
He just looks like a normal dude, to be honest. Nothing
looks
about
like
this
he's
is
sitting
weird.
in front of a giant UFO for some reason, but other than that,
it does seem like a giant metal something, like a camper, like an old Skyliner or whatever those are called.
Yeah.
And so, finally, at 2:30 a.m. on the 21st of July, 1968, all 4 men set sail for La Palma, which again is directly north, and are never seen again.
Yo.
All right.
I was waiting for one of those.
Here you go. This is the map of where they were going from. So the bottom is El Hierro, and they're going to La Palma, which is directly north.
Like a fucking straight north line.
Yep.
Like literally, it's just a line straight drawn between two islands.
That's literally all it is.
Absolutely straight north. Yeah. There is no way anyone could get lost doing this. So the Fausto is expected to arrive at 10 a.m.
How big of a distance is that?
50 miles.
So you could maybe you can't see it, but you can see it pretty soon after you leave.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be. Every time I think about 50 miles, I think about when I lived in Dayton, Ohio, driving to Cincinnati. Yeah. It would be like, I don't know, by car, like an hour.
Yeah, it's like driving to Disneyland. Yeah.
Yeah. And so at 10 a.m., they're expected to be there. They do not show up, and Raphael, the guy who owns the boat, assumes, hey, there's probably a delay. So, and the reason why he thought there was a delay is because that morning there was some mist in the area. It wasn't like making it hard to see, but they might have slowed down as to not hit the island as they approached quickly. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so he thought maybe there was a delay. So, because he had a little bit of a doubt, he said, all right, well, maybe the engine broke, but my employees know what they're doing. So, all right, I'm going to send another boat to follow the exact same route, which they had already said what they were doing. So like this straight line, they knew where they were going to go. So okay, I'm going to send a boat out, and it's going to take, I don't know, maybe 6-7 hours for them to do this. And they went up and down. They saw nothing. They radioed back, no trace of the ship. It was not there.
Damn.
And now he's a little bit more worried. And so he calls the authorities about a missing ship. On July 22nd, an emergency message is radioed to all ships in the area and to the west in the Atlantic proper that the Fausto is missing at sea. And then at noon from Gran Canaria, a plane takes off and heads west to search the Atlantic. And, despite the search having optimal weather conditions, it's sunny, there's no cloud, excellent visibility, the plane's crew comes back and they're like, we got nothing. They hadn't spotted a single ship that even looked like it. And all the other searches that had happened on the water found nothing at all either. And they spent more and more time looking and nothing happened. And as time passed on, the worry was like, look, all they have is 20 pounds of fruit, no water, and within days they'll be dead. So if the ship didn't sink, they're most likely going to be dead within the next 24, 48 hours anyway. So like if we can't find them now, they're lost at sea. They're done.
Damn.
That's awful. I can't. Being lost at sea is such like a horrifying thought. It's right up there with like buried alive for me. It's not.
It's just
right?
the thing the crazy thing about it is that it's such a short distance. Like normally when people go missing, it's like Amelia Earhart was like, I'm going to fly around the world, or some shit like that. Like
it doesn't look like a small distance, but also like how very quickly I bet you lose sight of the land and suddenly all you can see is water.
I'm just saying it's crazy that they are gone and that there is no sign of them. Like
well, that is until July 25th, 3 days later.
You're like July 25th,
shortly after midnight. 1968. 3 days later, shortly after midnight, the maritime authorities received a radio message from the British reefer ship, the Duchess. And if you're curious what a reefer ship is,
the Duchess, come on.
If you're curious what a reefer ship is, it is not what you think. It stands for refrigeration. It's literally a big ship that carries things that are cold. If you ever make us
rich enough where I can buy a ship, I'm naming my ship the reefer ship. Yep.
The reefer ship? Great. I'm here for it.
I'm naming my ship the Duchess. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me?
And so this ship calls in saying, hey, we are coming from South America en route to the Netherlands, and we spotted a fishing boat seemingly adrift in the Atlantic. Here's the thing. The boat's crew is using a flashlight to signal us. Should we approach them? What should we do here? It's 120 miles west of La Palma. Way off of the route. And here is the photo of where this signal was seen.
What the fuck were they saying? Oh my God!
Yeah, they went in a straight line the other direction.
Yeah, they are so completely off track. And so after
they just did like a 90-degree turn and then just went.
Yeah. They're like headed out more into the Atlantic now, which is bizarre considering it's a series of islands. You figured they would know directions, compass. Like if they're experienced 40, like the oldest guy's 47, the youngest guy's 41. So they're all in their 40s and they know what's up. So you would figure they would be able to do this. Anyway, and again, this is why this ship is like, what is this? But a flashlight's signaling to them. So they're like, okay, let's get a closer look. And they discover, yes, it is 100% the Fausto. They're told the Fausto's missing. And so the Duchess confirms, yeah, it's the Fausto. Here's the thing. Ramon, Alberto, Miguel, and Julio are all alive, all on the top, like on the deck, waving and signaling to them. They're dehydrated, they're sunburnt, but they're alive. And so this news quickly spreads to La Palma and then to, everywhere really on the islands. Everyone on the islands was concerned about this. It was a big story. Well, the ship had a few Spanish-speaking crew members, and so the Duchess was like trying to communicate with them. And they said, hey, look, come aboard, man. We will give you food and water. We'll get you straight. So they did. They came aboard. They got food. They got water. I love how it mentions that they got cigarettes, right? And then they were offered a trip back to La Palma. And this is where things took a turn for the strange. The 4 crew members of the Fausto refused the offer. Instead, they said, hey, all we need to get back is enough fuel and food, and we can do it ourselves. And the crew was like, are you sure? Your boat, is it all right? Wasn't it broken down? Why were you just sitting in the water there? Is something wrong? Like, didn't this Julio guy need to get back to his wife and kid? And the 4 of them are like, it's fine. No, all we just need is some stuff to get back. Don't even stress it. Like, no big deal. Nothing's out of the ordinary. Yeah, and then the crew of the Duchess were like, I mean, they seem fine. We questioned them, and yeah, they had a near-death experience, but they weren't even remotely close to the state that people find most castaways, which is like mentally broken, right? Like it isn't just near-death experience. It is like the heat and the oppressive nature of the ocean and like salt and just your body and you're going crazy. Most people are gone when they're found as castaways. These guys seem fine.
Could it be possible that them not wanting help is them being fucking crazy?
Good, very good point.
If I was this is like a Star Trek episode, first of all. But if I was the captain, I would be like, no, you're coming with us.
They checked the boat and it seemed entirely seaworthy and totally fine. The engine worked. Everything was fine. They couldn't figure out what was going on there, but they then sent them on their way. And
That's
they
crazy.
watched as the Fausto headed east back to the islands. And the Duchess radioed saying, hey, based on where we're at and based on where they're headed, they should be there by 7 p.m. So literally the town of Tazacorte, which is like in the southern part of La Palma, where these people are from, all the people in the town flocked to the port to wait for the ship's arrival. They were so excited. A celebration started. They brought out food. They brought out wine. They all stood around with the 4 families and they were like eyes to the horizon. They had this big party. This is documented. Here's one photo. And here is another photo.
Okay, so there's a lot of fucking people. I thought it was going to be like a few people. We're talking like the village is here. Everyone is here.
Everyone showed up. This was
there's like 100 people in this photograph, at least.
Yeah, and the other one is like sort of down more towards the water, and it's just people sitting around waiting.
A lot more boats.
There's all these boats out there. So like people were excited for them to return. This was a major story on the islands, and from what I understand, also in like Spanish newspapers at the time, it was pretty big. This was like the missing ship, and the fact
surely
that
the Duchess followed them all the way back. To the
you would
port,
imagine.
Right? Surely.
Well, at 7, no ship arrived. Then 8, 9, hours began to pass by and no ship appeared.
Oh my God.
As the crowd dispersed, the families of the 4 men stayed at the docks until morning, but the Fausto never showed up. It was missing again.
What the fuck were they doing? How far? Like, you can see, like, can't you see like 20 miles on a ship? God, that is so fucking weird.
Yeah, and this time it was day. So, like,
yeah,
they like, by the time they got all set up, it wasn't like they were sending them back out at night. They were sending them out during the day, and it would take them a few hours, and they'd arrive at 7 p.m. So, this is why I love this story, because it's so many twists. It makes no sense.
Thank you to our really long-time partner, Talkspace, for sponsoring this episode. It's important to prioritize your mental health and wellness every day, because when you work on yourself, you'll start to see and feel positive changes in all areas of your life. The long-term effects of therapy can give you the tools to deal with challenges as they arise, strengthen your relationships, and give you a more optimistic outlook on life. There's no better time to invest in yourself than right now. And getting started is the most important part. There's no need to wait until something goes wrong in your life to work with a therapist. Of course, Talkspace is also there to help you with any specific challenges you might be facing. It is the #1 online therapy platform after all, with thousands of licensed therapists trained in over 40 specialties, including anxiety, depression, relationships, and more. Your therapist can help you set and achieve your goals. Talkspace is mental health care that meets you wherever you are and simplifies taking care of your therapy and psychiatric needs because it eliminates the need to commute to appointments, miss time at work, or line up childcare in order to attend sessions. Plus, instead of waiting for an appointment, you can send text messages to your therapist to let them know the issues you're facing in real time. It's mental health care made easy. Talkspace has thousands of licensed therapists with years of experience in over 40 specialties, including depression, anxiety, substance abuse, trauma, anger management, relationship issues, food and eating, and so much more. It's also secure and private, using the latest end-to-end bank-grade encryption technology to store client information and complying with the latest HIPAA regulations. And as a listener of this podcast, you're going to get $100 off of your first month with Talkspace. To match with your licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com. Make sure you use the code CHILL to get $100 off of your first month and show your support for the show. That's CHILL and Talkspace.com.
Then, on July 26th, early in the morning, 4 planes took off from Gran Canaria now, all with very clear orders. Fly to the exact point where the Duchess found the Fausto, establish a search radius, and then spend all day plotting speed and courses and search everything that it could possibly be like a possible location for this ship. Other ships joined in, both military and civilian, including the Castor, a research vessel. Damn. There's like documents about it. Aid was requested from mainland Spain, and they sent
Porco Rosso.
They sent hydroplanes to come and they had DC Douglases. They had all these different ships involved in the search, and literally it was covering pretty much everything from the peninsula, the Iberian Peninsula there, all the way down past Morocco into the Atlantic. They were looking everywhere for these people.
Yeah, how far could they possibly have gone? Yeah.
It's been less than a day, right? Like they were supposed to arrive at 7. This is the next day after that. So they are sending everyone. To give you an amount of cost involved, it was approximately, or would be today, approximately $2.26 million for this search. And it lasted only a few days.
Significant effort, yeah.
Yeah, they put in money. Crazy. And yet, after all of that effort, the search of the Fausto was finally called off on August 7th. The boat No ship. The boat officially being classified as lost at sea.
Damn.
Here's the best part. I told you never know where this is going.
It's ridiculous.
Yes, it is ridiculous. Fast forward to October 9th.
Now we're months later.
2 months had passed.
Yeah.
And little by little, the families were coming to terms with the fact that they're probably not coming back. They had lost their loved ones. And despite the crazy happenstance of them finding out the ship, being alive, and then refusing help for some reason, that, you know what, they're actually gone. And like with all things, the news moved on, society moved on, just the family seemed to really care.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, an Italian merchant ship an Italian merchant ship named the Anna di Maio, M-A-I-O.
M-A-I-O. Like,
No.
Yeah, like Mao.
Maio, I think that's how you would say it. Or Mio, Anna de Mio, whatever it is. I'll call it the Anna. It was heading to Venezuela. And while they're on the way to Venezuela, they spotted something in the distance.
Venezuela?
Yeah. It was a dark, cloudy morning, but visibility was definitely still good. And they saw something, and they're like, we need to get closer. What the hell is that? And once they were in range, they noticed it was a fishing boat. The kind not really made for crossing the Atlantic. But as they approached, two things became very clear. One, her name written on the boat was El Fausto. And two, no one was at the wheel.
Okay, and this is, sorry, so, how long after?
This is 2 months. This is October.
Okay. Whew.
This is where it was found. This is the map location of where
They're just in the middle of the ocean. They're just nowhere near anything.
Literally like dead man's land over here.
Yes.
Venezuela, by the way, is in South America.
Correct.
Like, we're talking about Morocco to South America. We're talking about in between, like, nothing is there.
Yep. Nothing. So the Anna pulls up alongside the fishing boat, and the first mate, Luciano Acione, along with another deck sailor who is unnamed, boarded the vessel. And this is the first mate. This is the Anna. Just so you can get a vibe of who this guy is, what he looks like.
Why do they have these, like, incredible images?
Yeah, they got these profile shots.
Dude, this stuff was in... when we're done, if people want to take a look, I will send to Mathis all of the Spanish language. That's like, it's in newspapers. It's like, this was big. This was a big thing that happened.
Deal, yeah.
We just don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
language barrier.
Exactly. Crazy. No one's on deck. He goes over, there's no one on deck. He goes down to the cabin. No one's in the cabin, although it appeared to be in completely excellent condition. Like it was like recently just like fixed up all nice. There's no signs of violence, no signs of damage, no signs of panic. And according to him, it's a perfectly seaworthy ship just kind of floating in the Atlantic. And despite all of his best efforts, he can't find a logbook. He can't find anything that explains what happened or any signs of where the crew might have gone to. There's nothing, which he thought was very, very strange. So he goes back up onto the deck and begins to look around more. And he's like, oh, the engine compartment. I definitely should check in there. He opens the engine compartment, jumps down inside, and there, laying face up next to the engine, is the body of a dead man. Naked, a transistor radio found by his body. But here's the thing. The man had clearly been dead for some time because his body was near mummified.
What do you mean mummified?
Like... near
I would
air?
Imagine
like
by
the
ocean, exactly. I would imagine the salt air
yeah.
actually does quite a bit of mummification.
And so, at least from what he could tell, he's like, this person's been dead for a while. This isn't like this guy died last week. This guy's been dead for a while. And next to him was a notebook. And so he was like, what the? Okay. Guy who came over with me, get your ass back to the main ship, report back that we just discovered this thing, tell everyone that like this is messed up. And he stays behind in the ship and he's inspecting the engine room and he's trying to like find clues as to what could have possibly happened. And again, like I said, he found this notebook and he started going through it. And upon opening it, the first thing he's noticed was that the first couple pages are all numbers, like just like scribbles of numbers. And he's like, interesting, but it made no sense to him. It was like math and stuff.
World?
It's just, and then he starts flipping through, and after the numbers, he finds 28 ripped out pages. Okay. They are missing. All the contents is missing. 28 pages gone. And then after that, on the last page, he discovers like something that he can't really understand because he's Italian, it's Spanish, and he kind of gets the gist, and looks like a farewell. Like someone writing a farewell.
Like a suicide.
What does he realize is there nobody's coming for you?
Right. It's just like a farewell letter. And so he's like, all right, I don't speak Spanish, but I'm going to take the book, I'm going to take all these other documents I found, and I'm going to bring them back to the Anna. And once he gets
back... One guy, huh?
Yeah. One guy. Everyone else missing. And so he brings it back to the Anna, and on October 11th, they go back, they radio in, they say, we found the boat, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep the body on the boat. We're going to store it, like, for crime scene related stuff. We're going to keep the body on the boat. We're not going to touch anything else. We're going to tow this ship to Venezuela and have the Venezuelan authorities take a look at it, and we'll hold on to the notebook and we'll hold on to everything just to, like, keep it safe. October 11th comes around, less than 2 days after they began towing the Fausto. In the middle of the night, authorities receive a crazy telegram from the Anna. Bizarre to the point of disbelief. They inform them that while being towed, the Fausto vanished.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
They believed that it somehow had sunk bow first overnight, which I looked up I was like, what does that mean? Basically, like, you know, the front goes down, but, like, here's the thing. The only way that can happen is if the boat's going either too fast, the boat that's towing it's too fast, or that they made, like, a weird turn and, like, the waves messed up the boat behind it. But you would figure these guys are in a giant boat. They're not doing that. I don't think. So this
will be interesting to our Navy listeners or people who just know boats in general. Let us know. Either
the boat's being towed and it sinks and nobody notices.
They said that the boat, like, capsized somehow, and that's what happened, because the cord was, like, underwater, and I guess the boat maybe was sucked underwater and ripped away from the cord. And so maybe that's why, like, they don't have a clue. But what I do know is that right here is where it disappeared. So this is them even closer to Venezuela.
They're still very much in the middle of nowhere, but closer to Venezuela, middle of nowhere.
Barely moved.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it moved all that much.
Again, this is less than 2 days later.
Yeah.
So they clearly, from what I can establish, seem to have slowed their movement down as not to capsize the boat, which I think was the purpose, right? They were towing in evidence.
How do you not notice? Somebody woke up and it was gone?
In the middle of the night, gone. They reported immediately. They were like, this thing is gone. It's gone.
Bro.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was very, very crazy.
There's always the possibility as well, like, that they were being lazy. They thought it was no big deal. Nobody's on the ship. They didn't have to rescue anybody. They took it easy that night. Maybe they went to bed or sleep and they just missed it. I'm not saying that's what happened, but you always got to kind of keep that in mind too.
The boat, gone. And with it sinking, the body was gone too.
Right. That sucks.
All that was left were the documents recovered by Luciano, and eventually the notebook was returned to Spain and was returned to the families. And the crazy thing is that upon immediately seeing it, Julio Garcia's wife instantly recognized his handwriting. She was like, that is my husband's notebook. I would recognize that anywhere. Those numbers in the beginning aren't like some weird, wacky code. He was a mechanic who did odd jobs around the island, and he would, like, write down numbers of what people owed him, and he'd write down numbers of, like, what certain things were. And so this was all, like, this was his journal. He took him with him wherever he went. And she was like, that's not suspicious at all. What's weird is the ending. The fact that there's 28 pages missing, and the fact that there's this note to her. And basically, as she's looking through this, she says the last page contains a farewell to his family, that Luciano was going to, or that Luciano, the guy from the Anna, understood. He, like, got that bit. But the, like, subtext, the things he couldn't pick up on, was the fact that it was instructing his wife how to proceed with, like, insurance stuff and how to sell properties and how to, like, if he died, what to do with money. And then it ends with, don't ever tell their then 5-year-old son's name all that has happened to me. You know that God wanted this fate for me. Love you. Then he writes his address below that.
His home address?
Yeah.
Now with that last bit, it almost sounds like a suicide note.
I feel like I know what happened here. I feel like my first question is, why were they on this boat in the first place?
They were going to make a delivery, right?
Apparently, they were going to go make a delivery.
Yeah, my question is, number one, what was in that boat originally? And number two, I wonder if they were under duress when they were rescued.
Well,
I wonder if
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. You should bring that up. So First off, because I love the fact that primary sources, man, this is the actual last page that was kept by the wife from 2013.
Cool. It's cool to have something like that. That's really...
Yeah, this is it. This is the last page. And it looks like aged paper from one of those like notebook things that you would flip over the top, like each page over the top, and you rip them out. Fascinating stuff. So...
Looks like my aunt's handwriting, actually.
After looking at the notebook, investigators concluded that since the vast majority of it was all numbers at the beginning, and then 28 pages were ripped out, that he must have documented what happened, and then the last page is sort of like, because it comes out of nowhere, really, it's kind of an explanation, but those 28 pages, something happened to them. Whatever it was, it documented what happened. And this, of course, left many questions, and they are, what was written on the 28 pages? Why were they removed and by who? What happened to the rest of the crew? Why did they refuse to be towed, to be taken back by the Duchess? Why do they say that nothing was out of the ordinary when they were first found? Why didn't they offer any explanation as to why they disappeared in the first place? And since that time, there have been many, many theories, and I just want to go through some of them because they are like fascinating, but also what's interesting is there's like ones that are like built into the mythos that I think is like literally our urban legend now in the Canary Islands. Like this is, to them, this is, oh, that definitely happened. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so the first one is they were trying to make a better life for themselves in Venezuela. And a lot of people are like, that doesn't make any sense. They were leaving their families. Also, they weren't even prepared for the trip. Why were they trying to make their way there
honestly,
if they didn't have anything needed?
More sense if you want to look at it from, in my mind, like make their lives better. If they were all poor and they had insurance, on them, so they maybe like a group goodbye kind of thing where the families will be taken care of. The insurance will make sure they're not in poverty anymore, but it does mean they have to go fucking kill themselves.
Well, here's the thing, and I think I'm not a big Spanish scholar, but I'm pretty sure at this time period, this was like post-Franco regime, and I'm pretty sure Spain was like at its poorest it had ever been. And the Canary Islands aren't like, they got like Spanish flavor, but they're not getting the same treatment that Spain proper is. So it's probably very poor there. And so it is possible that they were so poor they thought, okay, we're doing this for our families. I mean, I guess that's why it's included on the list. Another one is they witnessed something they weren't supposed to see. This goes to the fact that a few months earlier, in roughly the same spot, the USS Scorpion was sunk, and many people think it was a secret Soviet sub that was in the area, and maybe they came across it, and maybe they saw something. But the question is, again, why reject help? Like, why would you reject? Like, you're on a boat, get out of there. But maybe they were like, that ship is in the water, and if we go with these people, they're going to sink the whole boat. That. You know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows? Another one is, like what Alex was kind of hinting at, what was on the boat? Were they trafficking guns or drugs or whatever? They were taking explosives, so clearly maybe something else was going on here. And they didn't want to be caught by authorities, which is why they were not wanting to go on the boat. Here's the thing. After looking into it, they all turned out to be debt-free. They had no criminal records. And, the ship's owner was super clean. So they just seem like normal fishermen.
Many mysteries.
What if they got boarded and then somebody wanted to take the ship? So they hid below when they got found and were like, you better come back here. We're going to kill you.
But they were doing flashlight SOS shit. So like.
That's what I'm saying. That's totally silent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey, the easy way to save when you're shopping on your iPhone or computer. I don't know how you feel about online shopping, but I love it. I do it probably every day, which maybe doesn't sound good for me, but I just end up doing it all the time because it's just convenient and the deals out there can be incredible. And with Honey at your side, those deals get even better. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to the cart that you're working on at that moment. It's very, very simple if you don't know how it works. Just you're shopping on one of your favorite online sites. Don't worry, just imagine it. It's working out real well, I promise. When you check out, the Honey button simply appears and all you have to do is click apply coupons. Kind of like magic, but it's technology. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for the site. And if Honey finds a working coupon, bam, you get to watch all the prices just drop. I have saved money on games, food, clothes, tech, you name it at this point, because I just have money on my computer 24/7, especially since I buy things all the goddamn time. And Honey doesn't just work on a desktop either. It's on your iPhone now too, which is really nice and dangerous for a shopaholic like me. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and you can save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could just straight up be missing out at this point. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting our show. I'd never recommend something I don't use, so go get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/chill. That's joinhoney.com/chill for free instant savings. Yeah, true.
Mr. Fossiani, you come across the one that I think is also, it does seem very, very like this can't be real, but it's the most popular theory, especially like in urban legend, that the boat was commandeered in El Hierro by a Nazi fugitive who had been hiding on the island after World War II. And now, because they were just starting to really crack down and hunt down former SS officials, he was like, get me to South America, which is why they diverted and were headed to Venezuela, because this dude forced them at gunpoint or something to do it. And he hid below deck. So when they like met with the ship, he was down below. And then like maybe some shit went down on the boat, and that's why the one guy lived and everyone else is gone. But there's no sign of struggles. There's no sign of like
blood or
gunfire or anything.
Yeah.
So they're like, it sounds great. Like it makes for a great story, but it doesn't explain a lot of the things that don't
the evidence isn't
make sense there. Right. And then of course there's the theory that I think is probably true, that it was just like a series of very small but successive setbacks that eventually they went from like, we got this, to like, oh my God, we're all going to die. And it just kept getting worse, even though they convinced themselves, because they were sailors, that they could do it. But like, I kept thinking, what could this really be? And I just want to say, I never thought about this. It didn't even cross my mind, but I'm going to shout out to Firelark on Reddit for just like posting a theory that I think is the strongest theory ever. So Firelark says, I'm willing to bet that when they were initially found adrift, but still alive, and Mathis, I think you were saying this earlier, they were much worse off than they seemed.
Yeah.
The crew of the Duchess mentioned that the men didn't seem like in a state of mental breakdown, as one might expect from being lost at sea for days. But that in itself could easily be an alarming sign.
Yeah.
Those men
they're just like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, they had like a group.
The men were probably
a group delusion.
Well, John, just give me a little bit of gas, dude. We'll get right back there.
Yeah, they probably were like super affected by the dehydration and the stress and the exposure and all that stuff, but they seem super chill. And he also says, or they, I guess, also say, if any of the fruit they ate had fermented or gone bad in the heat, that could have worsened the situation tremendously.
Accidentally drunk.
So while they appeared calm and irrational to the observers, they actually could have been highly irrational. This would explain why they refused to tow, why they insisted their boat was fine, when it was clearly not. My theory is that their navigation equipment had become faulty somehow, but not in a way that was immediately apparent. It was still visibly functioning, but not providing proper directions. This would explain why they got lost in the first place in the fog, and then why they were forced to rely on the instruments, right? It's nighttime, it's 2 a.m., it's fog, they use the instruments. It could also explain why they insisted to the crew of Duchess that there's nothing wrong with the boat. It's fine, even though they're clearly off course. And because they're no longer rational, they can't deduce that the equipment led them astray. So then, after parting with the Duchess, they set sail again using the nav system, and now they're back out at sea. After that, all three men probably rapidly dehydrated and like went crazy, and anything is possible at that point. Paranoia might have set in. They might have fought against each other. Anger, agitation, poor decision-making, compounding their problems. And the men who didn't die on the ship might have jumped overboard, convinced they were near land or that a boat was more dangerous than water. And all of that is kind of like secondary, though, to how they got lost in the first place. Not once, but twice. And he's like, that's something I think people dismiss. Or I guess I don't know anything about Firelark. And then there's a comment below that I thought was fascinating, which is from a sailor that was like, look, as a sailor, sometimes if you put a compass next to something electrical, it'll throw off true north. And you won't realize it because you're not thinking about it, but you'll like set the compass down next to like a faulty electrical thing. And next thing you know, you're going the wrong direction. And I was like, that could explain some things too. So I think that's super interesting. And that's the last bit there. But this again is another story that's real from history where people just vanished. And we'll never know. We'll never know.
Sank, because I'd be curious, what the findings on the corpse would have been, if there would have like, maybe they could have deduced that maybe he had some injuries on him that did show there was some fighting. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people think that there's two, because a lot of people are like, what happened to those 28 pages?
My guess is like, he maybe wrote down the events, and then when he realized there was nothing coming back, maybe he just didn't want his family to know the truth, and was just like, fuck it.
A lot of people think that maybe he was, those 28 pages was him writing down the fact that like, they started doing cannibal shit and like embarrassing things where he was like, I don't want, I wrote this down, but now reading it, I realized like in death, this makes us all look terrible. And he just tossed them. Or a lot of people are like, interesting that this one dude found these and reported back, 28 pages are missing. Did he remove the 28 pages?
I didn't even think of that.
That's also something.
Yeah,
why would he do that?
To me, the missing pages is like foul play for sure. I don't know why it is, but it is.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because it's so very obvious that you have to, if you ripped it out, you did so because you didn't want anyone. It wasn't like a mistake. It wasn't like whatever was written there. If it's all numbers, why rip out numbers? You know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose for ripping that stuff out? Unless maybe he was like so crazy and dehydrated and stuff that he honestly thought like, I'll stick this note I wrote in a banana and throw it in the water and maybe someone will find,
I mean, you never know. Yeah. And I'm sure within, like you said, within days, all that shit would have been starving and going crazy and
But they were given, supplies though. Supplies and fuel, which is crazy to me and they saw them go back east. They watched them go back in the direction. If they would have just stayed on that heading, they would have hit any of the islands. It's crazy to me.
It gives me a theory that involves them wanting to be back and intending to be back just doesn't make sense to me.
There's certainly something going on, but the problem is that, and I think this makes it interesting, is that the other three dudes, sure, you could say, these guys are going to go to Venezuela or whatever. But the one guy, his whole purpose for jumping on that boat at night was, I got to get back to my kid. And then he no longer cared about the kid. It's so weird that surely he would be the guy that's like, take me back. Like the fact that all four said, I'm going to stay on the boat. Why wouldn't the one dude who just want to get back and see his kid, why wouldn't he stay on the Duchess? If the other guys were like, we're going to go, why would he join them?
Assuming these people are all above board human beings, right? Which it seems like they were, right? The only thing I can imagine is like consequence-free money, right? Something that's just too good to ignore, because otherwise, what are you doing? Like both times they disappeared, they both headed the same direction. Like they were doing something for sure, and either they were doing it or somebody else was making them do it. But it just doesn't make sense to me that it wouldn't be that way with those details. That's how I feel.
It's bizarre as hell. And that's why I love it. That's why I've saved it for almost 4 years on my computer, because I'm like, this is a story. This is a great story. So
I love that.
Yeah, I will give all the links to Mathis. There's so much to this. You can see all the different photos. And if you want to see the original topic that was posted by Hello Lurker here 4 years ago on Reddit, I'll give him that too. And you can go through the whole thing. It is incredible. The comments are like, people are super into trying to solve it. I love this kind of stuff. And I've just been sitting on it for a while. And I was like, one day I want to do a podcast on this. Did they never go
back to look for the sunken boat then?
You know what? Based on where it is on that map,
no way you're gonna.
You know how when you look at the ocean, sometimes you see the really dark parts. That's prime dark part. That thing is so far down.
Yeah.
Plus, with like shift and currents, who knows where it went? Plus, they didn't. I don't know that they found it. You know what I mean? Like, did they see it fall off right away? So it could.
That's true. They could have just gone miles and miles after it was long gone.
So that's where they noticed it was missing. So who knows when, like, it could have fallen off within the first 20 minutes. They just didn't look. I have no clue. I'm not going to, it's so bizarre. But the fact that there's so much documentation and there's so much going on with this, and like a great example is straight up just like in the sources. It's just like, here's a TV mystery show that reconstructed the case, but it's in Spanish. It is all in Spanish. What? Whoa.
Whoa, new discovery here on Chilluminati Live.
You just solved it?
No, I didn't solve it, but I see now that the video, which was up a few days ago, it was removed again. Yeah. Oh, well. Link's still there just in case it comes back up.
Yo.
Speaking of seeing things one day and having them removed the next, thank you, Jesse, so much for this episode. We're going to go to patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod for a mini-sode where I'm going to go scream about the government. I'm very excited.
Wait, this is so funny to me. I love this.
I will thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week with another episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Patreon.com/ChilluminatiPod.
I want Chilluminati.
I want my Mothman blush.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.